Yeah, and then Mike Rutherford
Yeah.
asked you to join Mike and the Mechanics, and initially you were rotating or alternating lead singers with Paul Young,
Yes.
but you sang the lead on Silent Running.
Yes, that was the first Mike and the Mechanics release, actually, and the first album was very successful all over the place, and so I was a member all the way through. I'm not with it anymore now. I've left. It's been quite inactive anyway, I think. But Mike has started to record with other people now. But I was a member all the way through.
Now that was sort of once again a very powerful time for you, I guess. But then in the 90s, you really started off with the solo career, and you had a couple of brilliant hits and a couple of fabulous albums.
Yeah, well, I've always made solo albums along the way, but I mean, in a way, fortunately, things like Mike and the Mechanics were, much more successful than my solo stuff, and but it was something I always continued and always wanted to do was my own thing, and I think it was about really on the strength of the singing songs like The Living Years and things like that I got a good record deal, and I had my first top 10 American hit not long after.
Now you also got involved with the Eagles towards in the 90s with Don Felder and Timothy B. Schmidt, and did some work with them.
Well, I knew them from our first visit to the States in '75 when we were had our big hit How Long, and I met up with Timothy then, and over the years, because we used to do a lot of touring in the States, and when we would go to Los Angeles, Don Henley and Timothy would turn up at the gigs and stuff and support us. I mean, morally, not. So there was always a connection there. And then the thing is, about sometime in 1994, before the Eagles reformed, I was asked by Don Felder to go over and get involved in a project with him and Timothy, with a view to making an album and doing shows and stuff. And I spent the summer over there writing songs, and one of the songs I took with me was a song I'd co-written with Peter Vale and Jim Capaldi, a song called Love Will Keep Us Alive. Eagles went on to record when they did reform, so it's all a bit complicated, but...
Now, the Eagles actually produced an album in 2007, Long Road Out of Eden, and you were actually one of the people performing on that.
Well, I didn't perform on it, but I did write a song for them, which they recorded.
Ah, right, okay.
It's called I Don't Want to Hear Anymore.
Ah, okay, I got that bit wrong, sorry there.
No, you've been spot on apart from that. I've told you really, but... no, that was a song, as I said, they'd recorded one of my songs on the previous album, and I was asked by Timothy, to write a song for him to sing on their what was going to be their new album, Long Road Out of Eden. So I came up with that song, I Don't Want to Hear Anymore, and I was absolutely delighted that they recorded it and went on there. I've done my own version of it, of course, on my own album, and but theirs is slightly more successful.
Now, I'm just looking at a list of some of the people that you've played for, and it's amazing. When you start talking about people like B.B. King, Ringo Starr, Elton John, I mean, that's a list of some hugely successful people. Are there any memories you have of playing with people like B.B. King?
Oh, yeah, loads. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I was a big B.B. King fan, and wonderful guy. Really great. He was good fun, and he was. I think he was 72 when I played with him, and he was. He's a road warrior. He was full of life, and I remember actually one of the sessions when I played with him was actually my birthday, and he played Happy Birthday on the old guitar.
No.
Yeah, in fact, I've got a recording of it somewhere, and we also did a jam that he put on the album, and he called the track Paulie's Birthday Boogie. It was that was a fantastic memory.
Oh yeah, that must be really, really brilliant. You've got a new album coming out though, haven't you?
I do have a new album coming out, which I've It'll be coming out in the end of October, and this is completely, excuse me, it's a completely different kettle of fish. In fact, the album is called Different Hat.
Yeah.
Should have called it Another Kettle of Fish, maybe. But anyway, I've recorded this album with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
Fully orchestrated album, and it's not rock and roll really at all. It's, there's a number of sort of standards on there. There's a bit of Nat King Cole, a bit of Randy Newman, a couple of Paul Carrack songs, even a Frank Sinatra song. So it's a mixed bag, but it's a fully orchestrated thing, and I'm really, really proud of it, and I just hope a few people like it.
So what inspired you to go that route? Well,
to be honest, there's one of my favourite albums recently, and one of the few albums that I play like all the time is it's a Joni Mitchell album called Both Sides Now, and that's kind of the template for the album because she does a few sort of classic standard songs and reworks a couple of her own songs, but with fantastic orchestral arrangements. And it had always been my aspiration to make a record like that, and I just finally I've gotten round to it. I just bit the bullet and put my hand in my pocket and went for it. So and I'm really pleased with it. Really pleased with it.
That's brilliant. Now, when does the album actually get released?
I think the official release date is the 25th of October. But
right.
And there's a single coming out at the same time.
So we haven't got to wait too long then.